That's Chris Harrison.
Chris Harrison, yes.
Hi.
Rachel Bearer. Ben Rosenbaum needs to remember how to spell my name. Hi, everyone. Hi, SPR.
Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Start
Little
recording.
fade out. Yeah, fade out. But
Yeah.
very smooth.
That's music, isn't it?
It is. It's our
Oh,
recording.
okay, cool. All right. Hi. Okay, so
Put on speaker view.
today, welcome to another rendition of Arranging and Chill. And we're your hosts. I'm Shams.
And I'm Ben. And this is also streaming on Imogen's socials. So for everyone watching there, we are so excited to talk to Imogen today. And we're doing like a vocal arranging weekly workshop. And we have some guests. So we had Eric Whitaker. We're going to have some other really exciting guests.
Yeah, and we are so honored today to have the absolutely incomparable Imogen Heap, someone who has created the most amazing music, extremely impressionable music on me personally when I was in college.
Very influential in the whole a cappella community.
Yeah, ask me how many hide and seek renditions exist in the a cappella world. Don't even ask me. But we are so excited to have you today, Imogen. I cannot even express that more intensely. But yeah, and thank you for making the time to speak with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you. I almost didn't make it. I was still in my jogging kit until about 5 minutes ago. So this is my transformation.
You look really good.
It's great.
You were great before, but you really elevated.
So yeah.
Amazing.
Nice
So how are
you guys? Thank you for inviting me in for this conversation.
Absolutely.
Eric Whitaker was the one who got me to do another a cappella, which less choirs have attempted, which is something called the listening chair.
Yeah.
Which is a very complicated song to sing, and it changes every 7 years. Because an extra minute of it gets added as I get older every 7 years.
That is a really interesting concept. Definitely going to talk about that a little bit more too.
He commissioned this song for he had a prom in London, and he wanted a 5-minute piece, a new 5-minute piece. And so I got a chair, a physical chair, that's like an egg chair. And I went and asked as many people as I could to sit in it to tell me if there was one song that they felt in the world still needed to be written. And then I was hoping for one kind of overriding, topic or theme, but there wasn't one. So they all gave me various different topics, depending on what age group they were.
And so, it sounds like the Sorting Hat. Everyone sits in a chair and does a thing.
So we wanted to get just some more insight onto many different things that you do. Obviously, you're so connected with songwriting, composing, arranging, as well as technology. We just wanted to kind of dive into a few topics with you to kind of get some insight from you. I guess first of all, just in case someone in this group of participants doesn't know who you are, which is insane. Everyone figure it out. What can you give us a little bit of your just musical background and like kind of how you became who you are?
I was born like everyone else, and then that went okay for a few years. And a piano. There was a piano in the house, and I eventually had a little sister, and she was kind of like, she was a year younger than me, so I had to, of course, make lots of noise to get lots of attention for myself. So the piano was the loudest instrument, the loudest thing in the house. So I think that's probably why I ended up playing it, because there was my brother older than me and my sister younger than me. So yeah, played lots and lots of piano, and I realise now, 40. How old am I? 42, I think. 41. I can't remember. 42. That's bad. You know you're old and you forget how old you are. Yeah, and I kind of realise now that the thing I had all along, this kind of this way into calm, into kind of sorting my head out, I'd lost over the years, and essentially I found that through playing the piano. There was, you know, many things you go through as a kid, all kinds of things, and I really found my place in dealing with all of those things at the piano. But I've over the years just kind of less and less been there, and now I'm just doing everything I can in all the projects and the tech to get me into that flow of music making again. That's kind of like my meditative space, where you're just improvising. You're not thinking about the past or the future. You're just like, you're not even thinking about anything, and if you are, it might surface and then it might drift away, like how people talk about mindfulness, you know, like meditation. So yeah, I'm doing all I can to get back there, but that's really what I just spend most of my time doing. And then I figured out that the more lessons I did, the more musical lessons I did, the more academic lessons I got out of. So then I took on the cello and the clarinet, and then I just figured, because people ask you, don't they, when you're young, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which I think is an awful question to ask a kid. But I just said, oh, I want to be a musician, and it just stuck. And I didn't really want to do anything else other than be an astronaut. Other than that, that's it. And maybe I will become an astronaut.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
that's definitely a possibility.
Do you feel like you had like a when you played piano, is it something that you were trained in? Like you would go to lessons and you would, you know, learn how to play the piano, or were you self-taught with the other instruments, or kind of how did that go?
I self-taught quite a lot of the piano, because it's quite nice and easy, isn't it? You just kind of put your hands on it and it sounds nice. And then when you can reach the pedals, that makes it sound even nicer. And then I did go to lessons, yeah. I didn't like quite a lot of my teachers because they put numbers on my fingers. I was like, you don't put numbers on my fingers. I know my own fingers. So I eventually found a teacher I think that I liked. And, I did my grades. I was quite a swot. Like I wanted to be the best at everything. So I really studied up until I got to the age of 12. Then I went to a different school where it was really uncool to be good at anything, like academic. So then I rebelled and I became terrible at everything. But I wrote lots of songs and learnt about, you know, they had an Atari computer, so I learnt about programming my instrumental things that I used to write on the computer, and that was a real moment for me. My universe just exploded with ideas because suddenly I could just, you know, key notes down into a keyboard which I could play, and I could hear any sound I wanted, and I could adjust it and change it and repeat it and loop it and layer it. And even though it sounded awful,
Yeah.
but that changed my life, and then from then on, really, computers and me have been really good friends. And where I would buy a piece of gear for myself. And as technology got cheaper and you could have your own home studio, that's what I did, because I could have studios. So
Awesome.
where I could.
That's awesome. And how do you see your like musical training in regards to like making pop music? Do you think that it was something kind of you had to step out of to make pop, or did it really just inform it? What's your view on that?
I didn't really, there wasn't a beginning, middle, or an end. It just kind of was like I made music, and sometimes it sounded like this, and sometimes it sounded like that. And then when I signed my record deal, when I was like just 18, whatever music I was making at the time, that's what I recorded. And there wasn't a distinct kind of shift between my classical learnings, and it was just the thread was always just the improvisation. It was just the creating music. And then when I got a bit older, when I went to the boarding school, that's when I started to properly write lyrics. And also I was going through puberty, so there's like a million crazy thoughts going through your head. And also nobody would talk to me, so I only had to write songs, you know, to kind of discuss those ideas with myself. Yeah, so I can't remember the question you asked me now, sorry. It's quite distracting actually doing it when you hear your child in the background.
I can only imagine.
Well,
Yeah, I've been in this kind of blissful world of, you know, home, and just hardly seen anyone. other than the occasional neighbour or people you see out, you know, in London Fields where I live. So it's quite odd to like dive back into being the, you know, the me that lots of people out there might have heard of.
So
Anyway.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of your songwriting, can you maybe take us through? I'm sure you have many different processes for this, but can you take us through like a typical process for you when it comes to your songwriting?
Um, I wish I had a typical process. I do envy a really good friend of mine, Guy Sigsworth, who is an amazing writer producer, and he goes into the studio nearly every single day, and he writes so much music, and he's amazing. I kind of write in fits and starts. Like if I have half an hour, I just feel like I'm so lucky, and I like pick up my diary, or I might play the piano for half a second. Um, the only real reason I actually get to finish a song is because somebody's asked me, or somebody's going to pay me to do a commission, and that will be the thing that makes me start and finish a song. However, you know, there was one kind of weekend here about I don't know, August last year, and I just had a whole day to myself. It was like the first time that happened ever long since I gave birth to my daughter. I think I just didn't have any work to do, and my daughter was with her dad. So I was like, I was kind of procrastinating about going to the piano because there's this fear like don't go to the piano because you can't do it anymore. You haven't done it for so long. And I was like, come on, don't be silly, talking to myself. Just get in there. It doesn't matter. No one's going to hear anything anyway. It doesn't have to be a good song. Just get in there and see what happens. So I went down, sat down at the piano, and outpoured like 5 songs. But they weren't good. You know, I had the lyrics for some of them. They're like pretty awful. But what was nice about it was just it reminded me that it is there at any moment that I have. And so really there is no method. It's just that you just have to make the time to do it. And whatever you have at hand at that moment is what ends up forming where the song's going to go. So then it was the piano, and it was also thinking about Scout, you know. And I was also, I think, thinking about near-death experiences for some reason because I nearly died quite a few times just from being stupid and like jumping off cliffs, not for suicidal reasons, just kind of, oh, that looks fun. And then like really nearly got very, very close to a very sharp rock at the bottom, not realizing it was there. Or, you know, jumping onto a railway tracks and falling over and getting electrocuted. Or not electrocuted,
Oh, wow.
dead, but electrified. And so I just started writing about these things. So at that point, it was write a song, because that was what was on my mind. Loving Scout so much, missing her because she'd literally just, I wasn't with her for like 2 hours. And I had all this stuff to think about. So, and then the next time I was in the studio 2 days ago, and Scout really, really wanted to sleep in the studio. Like I've got a studio not in this house, but in another place. And I was there finishing off another project. And so she was like, Mummy, I really want to sleep in the studio. I was like, really? It's cold down there. And she was like, but you can work. And I was like, oh, I wasn't really planning to do any songwriting, but, you know, I was kind of quite happy to go to bed early. But again, she helped me face my demons, and I went downstairs and I just pulled up this song, and I was looking at her asleep in my studio, and it just, out came this song again, but with a very different vibe. I actually plugged in Endless. Do you know what Endless is?
No.
Okay, he has to know about Endless. So it's only just come about. Tim Exarch is one of my greatest inspirations in music and tech. He's developed this app called Endless with 3 S's, and it's a social jamming, music creating. It's like Twitter for music.
Cool.
Right now, get it right now. And it's so good. And so I just plumbed that in because I didn't want to make a noise like record new instruments or anything. So I just like plugged it in through just out of the headphone out into the Ableton or whatever I was using Ableton, and just like made some beats, made some bass lines, and this really unexpectedly nice kind of backing track came out of it. So that's my method. Is basically whatever is at hand at that moment. If it's a guitar, if it's some birds outside, and that's, happens to be feeding in, and there's a little something there in the melody, or literally anything. There's no method.
So
wish they were.
it can be sometimes accompaniment first, sometimes melody first, sometimes lyric first. It kind of just changes all the time.
Exactly. And sometimes, like I've just finished this track. In fact, if anyone wants to see it, I think there's a making of. It's this 90-second piece of music that I wrote for IBM's Think conference. They wanted to generate all their visuals this year, starting with the music. So I worked with this production company, like design agency called Field, and they're amazing. And they built all this software to analyze and generate visuals from my music and all the different timbres and rhythms and harmonies. It was really cool. And there's a whole page you can look at. I'll find it somewhere. Maybe, I don't know if Kathy's on, maybe she can put it in a chat or something.
Yeah, we can link to it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's launched actually. I mean, it's up online so people can look at it, but nobody knows it's there. Anyway, so Mike, my partner, filmed the whole process. And so there, I was like, where do you start? If the visuals are going to start with the music, but where are you going to start with the music? What does IBM sound like? So I went to Armonk, which is their research, where they are. No, Yorktown, sorry. No, I can't remember now. Anyway, somewhere near New York, their research center. And I learned about quantum physics and quantum computing, all this AI stuff, and just loads of crazy stuff. And recorded lots of sounds. And the sound, my best sound was walking past a generator, a power generator, with my electromagnetic microphone. And it kind of made this awesome sound when I went past it. And when I went over the different thicknesses of metal with my microphone, it was like, wow, wow, wow. So I was like, oh, that's the bass line. So that was the bass line. And then there was this other thing called the annealing furnace, which is like really, 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 really hot. And it sounds like a dub bass line. It's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. So that was that. So yeah, it can be anything.
That is so cool. I mean, I think of most people, you know, they hire someone to write music for them, and then that person just like thinks about the thing and makes it. But you actually are going into the field and, you know, getting live recordings and like really being inspired by the physical, literal things that make up this company.
The atmosphere, and you get
cool.
like so much out of that.
It is all. It's mainly because of the terror of the blank canvas, actually. It's like the worst thing is just sitting down and going, okay, let's begin.
We have questions about that too. That's a big thing that came up when we were asking our audience, like for questions for you. And let's get there now because we're talking about it. But I mean, part of acapella, what I like acapella is that there's so many limitations, is that you have the voice and you have a certain number of voices, and that's all you have to work with. But with what you do, you have literally endless palettes and anything that you could work with. So how do you like zone in, and what would your advice be to someone who's just like really overwhelmed by the possibility out there?
It does sound daunting.
Yeah, just you've got to create your boundaries. You've got to decide, okay, this song is, I mean, if you're thinking about sound palette, and you mainly write with the piano and you find yourself kind of going through the motions again and making the same sounds, then just decide, okay, I'm only going to pluck the piano strings, or I'm only going to use the sound of the squeaky pedal, and that's my kick drum, or I'm going to use the side panels and I'm going to turn that into a rhythm, or whatever it might be. Just if you have a piano, or it could be I don't know, many things it could be. I mean, say for instance, there's this song, You Know Where to Find Me, which is I had to write for I can't remember the name of this, Art Angel, this really lovely, great company in the UK who commission new works. And I was up in this boat on top of the Queen Elizabeth Hall on the River Thames, and and I didn't have much to work with other than just, I had a keyboard. So I wrote this song about the River Thames from the perspective of the Thames, and I asked lots of people on the street that night, what does the River Thames mean to you? And to try to understand. So basically a lot of the time I ask other people questions, and then, like with the listening chair, and kind of decide, okay, I like that. I hear somebody else say something back to me, and then I'm like, oh, that's quite good, yeah, I like that. And then the next thing that happened again was, I suppose, rather than, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't have a good answer to that. But for that song, I had to then go and do a TED talk, and I was terrified about it, and I wasn't ready at all, which is why I probably didn't end up online afterwards. But I needed to record this song because I'd set this boundary, this time boundary for myself, that I had to release it. And so I asked lots of fans in Edinburgh if they had any piano, could I go and wear their clothes and play the piano, wearing their clothes. And then out of all of those piano recordings, because I hadn't fully written the song, I made the song. So I had a limited amount of recordings of really out of tune pianos, all different, not all out of tune, but out of tune with each other. And then used that to my advantage. It actually sounded really nice when they're all together. Like a choir can sound really nice, but individually, maybe sometimes people can't sing that great on their own. But when they're all together, the more there are, the better it sounds. So with that song, that's what I did. And there was one particular piano which had terrible, really out of tune, but it had a great, really squeaky, loud, sustain pedal, and that became the kick drum, and the snare. So yeah, you just have to make your own limitations. Like with the listening chair, I could have written anything. And I did get a bit overwhelmed by the choices, but in the end it was somebody sat in the chair and said to me, just write something that means something to you. And I was like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Good advice.
So I wrote a song about me, about my life, but over these 7-year periods. And with Earth, there's a song I just recently tweeted about it because it was about Earth, from the perspective of Earth. What's it like being Earth? Right now, it's probably quite good being Earth because you've got clearer skies, your oceans are probably slightly better. So again, with that one, I just thought I'm just going to limit myself to the voice. And what can I do with my voice? And what tricks can I use in the studio? And there's not that many. So I do whatever breakbeat I can with my voice, which isn't very good. Beatbox, not breakbeat. I don't know what I'm talking about. Can't even say it. And I don't know. You just got to play. You've got to, in a way, you kind of play to your weaknesses. Do you know what I mean? If you can't do something, then just try and make the best out of it, and don't be too hard on yourself. Yeah, sorry, not very good, very long-winded.
No,
that's actually a really interesting answer, like play to your weaknesses, because I feel like generally we give the advice play to your strengths, but I think this is a really interesting spin on that.
Well, it's like finding what your weaknesses are and like creatively figuring out how to overcome them.
Yeah, like almost, yeah. That's really
and like creating your own little worlds. Like I feel like that's something you're so good at is creating worlds for an album, for a song, a sonic world that you live in, and then you go to a different one, and you go to a different one, but it's all still your style. So like what are some of your influences for creating like what is now your sound, as far as like harmony, rhythm, lyrics, melody? Like what did you take in to like now be able to create what you create?
I don't know if I can pinpoint things. I mean, I really loved Michael Jackson when I was growing up. And his arrangements are, they're pretty dense and kind of lots of variety, good beats, and very wide melodies and sounds that weren't just words. So maybe he had an influence, or Quincy Jones had an influence in, the way that I made music. And also just playing the piano, improvising on the piano. You kind of got to make your own rhythm, and you got to make your own harmony and counterpoint as you're just jamming around. So a lot of stuff comes from there. I kind of play the piano a bit like I'm playing drums because,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, so asking about your influences on your music, but also you are an influence on many other artists and people and music listeners, namely Ariana Grande, actually, who I've always been a fan of, but ever since she covered your song on her album, my respect for her skyrocketed, because I didn't think she was like interested in music that wasn't like pop music. And so I was so kind of pleasantly surprised to see that she has this like, this understanding that to me feels more elevated because she includes someone like you in there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
She's really, really, really musical and art and really good with tech. She just is probably extremely busy with being famous. That maybe if she wasn't so famous and extremely busy with being famous, maybe she might have more time to show everyone how, pretty smart she is with tech. Like very young, there's videos of her on YouTube, which is how I found out about her. She was taking this song Just For Now. How'd she'd seen it on this what do you call it? Zach Braff 103 point some kind of radio thing that was filmed, and I did that version of Just For Now with my looper on that program, and she saw it, and then she got a looper and she copied it exactly, and it was the first person I'd seen who'd done it, and I was like, who's that girl? She's really good. But she was like 15 or 14. She was still doing that show that she was doing. And that's when I first heard about it. And I was just encouraging her. I was like, you're really good. Wow, it's really, really good. And then I heard her cover Hide and Seek with a harmonizer. And I was like, oh, really good. And then about 5 years later, I got a call, or not a call, but an email. Mum reaching out to me because she wanted Ariana to come over for dinner. I think it was for her 21st birthday. She was a huge fan. And so she thought to surprise her, I would be her gift. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just at home, and what does she eat? And she's vegan, so I figured out what I made some nice kale lentil thing. But I gave her mum the wrong number, my wrong telephone number. I don't know how I did it. I missed a digit. And so I got one, I just did it too fast. And they were going up and down these like back roads of my house, like the studio, getting quite dark. And Ariana's getting pretty freaked out. She didn't know what she was doing. They were just going up and down, trying to find me, trying to call me. And she just thought it was a hoax. This whole thing was a hoax. And she was like, anyway, when she finally turned up at the door, because I was like, why are they not here? It's like an hour late. So I realised I'd sent the wrong number, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you still coming? I'm here. But anyway, I turned up at the door, and she saw me for real, and she literally really passed out. And she was in hysterics. She was like, so we just had this really, really lovely evening. And I showed her my gloves, the Mimi gloves. I gave her a little demo because I thought she'd love them, because I know she's into bits of tech. And then she wanted to take the gloves on the road with her, so she did a little section in her I can't remember what one of the tours, sorry, where she had a moment with the gloves, and it was pretty cool. Very, very gutsy of her, because nobody had ever played them outside of a venue that I might have played, which might have 3,000 people. Not even that at the time, actually, because I hadn't fully developed the gloves before I went on tour again. I got pregnant. So yeah, she was pretty ballsy, and an amazing voice, just incredible. But she's into all kinds of music. She's into all kinds. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Did she customize the gloves at all, like differently from how yours are set up, or did she just kind of go with what your settings are?
Well, the gloves are. She had a very nice pair made. She had if you look at her gloves, they're like white and silver, I think. But the same tech, and our team worked with her, kind of pulled together a session with what she wanted. And then if you look on it online, you can see what she did.
Yeah.
And then right at the end of the tour, she really, really pulled one out of the bag, where she did a cover of Hide and Seek using the gloves and a harmonizer, something I hadn't even done myself. And
wow.
Really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about how the gloves came about, and what the inspiration for them was, and like the process of that?
And are they commercially available for me to
They are. Thanks for the plug there. Yeah, they are. Except we're on a bit on pause right now because of we can't get anything made over here because of the virus. So
right.
a little bit frustrating, because there's lots of people that are waiting for their gloves, and I'll get them today. But yeah, we launched them commercially, I think, last year, November or something like that, or maybe before. Maybe that's when we delivered them. I can't remember that. No. Oh, anyway, yes, there are some out there, and we usually kind of do like 50 or 60 at a time. But the idea came around just really out of frustration, just not being able to get the dexterity and the spontaneity of how I can with my voice and with a piano or with an instrument, that are like an acoustic instrument or a guitar with an instrument, but have that same kind of freedom, but with my production tools. So with reverb, or if I wanted to loop something, or if I wanted to like change a filter on something, you can have all of that in the studio, and it, you know, you can meticulously do that. And, you know, you don't need 100 arms. You can do one thing after another after another. But when you're on stage and you want to change a filter of a bass or something live, your whole hand is taken up by existing, you know, like a keyboard knob or something, you know, or just like a pot or a pan or whatever. You kind of just have to use your whole hand to turn something, and then you can't carry on playing the piano or playing a bass line, or you've only got one more hand to go. Anyway, basically, if I wanted to record my voice, previously I would have to either run back to base station on the stage and just, you know, press a button, which would disengage me from my performance and from the audience and from the band. And then I'd be back on the middle of the stage kind of singing the next bit, and then I'd go back and press stop or press play, so it looped. And I tried to do other versions of it, like I'd have there's this system called iQbex where you can define what kinds of things you want. So you might have sliders, you might have buttons, you might have pads, you might have flowers, sensors, all kinds of things. And I kind of created this very complicated setup so that I could have the freedom to move around on the stage and press a thing there and push a thing there and twist a thing there. But it was like, it was ridiculous. It like take me 2 hours to set it up just to have the freedom to record my voice, you know, where I wanted. And in the end, yeah, I realized that the technology was available to be able to use wearable technology to do that. For years, I was thinking about something in my body that I would touch, but I never thought about my actual hands as a tool. And then I saw this woman called Ellie Jessup who developed a thing called the Vamp glove. And she showed me this one simple gesture where she did a pinch action. And when she did that, she sang a note. And when she sang that note, that kind of little nanosecond of a tone coming out of her voice was then synthesized into that same note with a synth, like an oscillator or whatever. And then she would do this, and it would create a vibrato. So she would sing a note, make a tone using a synth sound, and then do this to make the vibrato. And I was like, that is amazing. Use your actual hands to do the actual gestures that you want to achieve. Catch your voice, move it over there. So, you know, make a funny bass sound, make some sparkles, you know, just do it with your hands. But there was no system that existed like that. So I wanted Ellie to work on it with me, but she is tied to MIT Media Lab and on this crazy opera. So I had to start from scratch and worked with my friend Tom Mitchell. We got a 10 grand grant from University of West England, and we kind of butchered a fiber optic glove from a German company called 5DT. And then from that, we kind of built on the sensors, we built on the IMU for like picture on roll for our, you know, quaternion, basically space, time and space. And then from that, we needed a button, and we needed lights and buzzers for feedback so I could see what the hell I was doing. And then we need to kind of completely rework the software. And then we created our own custom built glove. And then we brought on some more team to do that. And then we built the software, mainly down to this amazing guy who's now like basically the CEO of Mimu, called Adam Stark, who's been keeping it going for all these years, and just came in as a Max programmer and stayed on. Like, it's been 8 years now, or maybe more, since he came. So it's been going on 10 years.
Wow.
And now I can actually get to the point, and I just did a tour, complete freedom, complete just not thinking about technology at all, just being so at peace and at one with these, you know, basically like a second skin. So if I want to catch my voice, or I want to take some reverb, I do secret finger, and I kind of pull the reverb out to maximum. But it's not like secret finger, move hand to the right. It's just like, you know, it's just like
It's a natural gesture.
That is so cool. I'm imagining a choir of people with the gloves, with the Mimu gloves, like manipulating their voices, and like I literally have chills thinking about how good that could be.
Do it. You could do it with Right, so there's this thing here. Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't planning on showing it. Just I've been tidying up today. This is called a mini mew.
Oh, wow.
And it was led by this woman, Helen Steer, I think her name is. And she was like, you should do one for kids, because the one that we make for grown-ups, or for anyone who's kind of knows about Ableton and all that stuff, because you need to know about music software. You can't just like suddenly make great music. You like have to know your stuff a bit. But you can choose whatever postures you want. You know, it learns from you. So you don't have to have like pre-described set of postures. You just choose whatever you like. That's what's great about it. Anyway, they are pretty expensive, but you kind of have to be even better at coding really to do these. But you can plug these up to the thing that we have called Glover quite soon. Not yet, but soon you will be able to. So you can use this thing, which is like, I don't know, £49 or £39. They use the microbit, the BBC microbit, this thing here. So, and you basically stitch it yourself, cut it out, stitch it. The kids can do it. Maybe not as young as Scout, but you know. And then you add some crocodile clips. And so you can it's basically got pitch and roll, and then you've got accelerometer peak. So you could, you know, add reverb. You could have different choir members could add different tones or different harmonies, or add different reverbs, or add different effects, chop them up, gate them, whatever. You know, different people could affect other people's voices. That's quite fun too.
Oh, cool.
That's
I
awesome.
think I know what our next shopping trip is. That is super cool. I love hearing you talk about the technology and kind of like the story of how it was created out of frustration, for not being able to, for feeling like, you know, trapped to like a codified way of doing things, and just saying, well, I want to do something else and have more freedom. And I think it's so cool that you invented something out of that, you know, frustration.
Well, yeah, I mean, with an amazing team of people, they're just amazing team. I'm so lucky. It was the first time I'd collaborated on anything outside of music. You know, obviously done a music video or stuff like that, but this is my first introduction into the maker world, and the hacker space, and people who could just make amazing things out of like weird junk, and just make these beautiful creatures. So, and coding, you know, just like, I mean, I'm not a coder at all. I've never done anything like that. I mean, I've done little tiny bits, but nothing really good. But having worked with somebody like Adam, and Tom, kind of going, oh, so you can make, and it's like a bit of a penny drop, because you see everything on the surface, don't you? You see Ableton, Cubase, Pro Tools, it's like, that's the way it is. But then you meet people like Tom and Adam who can just make something new, make a completely new program exactly fitted to you, and it was just mind-blowing. I was like, wow, I can do completely different things. And then from that, we've created this really versatile software, which is kind of like a patch bay for gestural musicware and software music programs. So you can like use a Leap Motion, or it's not out yet, but it will be soon. Other gloves, maybe even an EEG headset, you know, so if you wanted to like plug in your brainwaves to change music. There's so many possibilities, even if you don't have gloves.
That is so cool.
Love it. Can you talk a bit about, like, you touched on this before a little bit about motivation, and like what is like the driving force that motivates you to create, both like from a creative standpoint and also just like work ethic and all the things that you've done?
Either frustration, which you've realised.
That's a good motivator,
For sure.
for sure. Yeah.
And also for digital identity, very exciting thing to be working on.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time. You cut out a little bit.
It's called the Creative Passport, and it's a digital identity for music makers, so that you can basically get yourself organised and prepared for the future, so that we are part of the solution, not always just annoyed by the music industry for not paying us on time or at all.
Tell us more about
What's that?
Can you tell us more about that? That's really interesting. I would love
Yeah.
to learn about
Well,
that.
you can go, if anyone's interested, any musicians out there, go to the creativepassport.net. We're early stages. We haven't launched anything public yet, but it's been no secret. We've actually been developing it with hundreds of musicians. On my last tour, we did music workshops with music services and artists and musicians and engineers and producers. Basically, we're just trying to enable the individual to sort out their own mess. That's not often caused by them. It's caused by a system which is completely overwhelmed by trillions of lines of data, and not enough people working in the collection societies or wherever to be able to handle your tiny little amounts of money that mean a lot to you, but to those services, they're like, I just haven't got time or resources to do these tiny things. It costs them more to do something like chase a Spotify payment than it does what's going to be in your bank account. So that's why none of these little problems get solved. And so what we have is like an extreme mess of data, and the reality that 50% of all royalties don't reach their rightful parties. That's a lot of money going to the wrong people. But you know, it's nobody's fault. It's just down to us now to come together and get ourselves organised, and we are trying to make a verified digital identity space for every music maker, whether you're a producer, an engineer, a writer, a performer, whatever, all things, so that you can prove who you are by way of each other proving each other, but on top of that, those of us who are already associated or have already been verified by services like, you know, ASCAP or whatever like that. So, and then combining that with also a top layer of identity like your passport, so, or your national insurance, or, you know, so we're not kind of holding that very exclusive, important kind of secretive data like your health score or anything like that. We're just dealing with the next layer down, which is your skill sets, your passions, the songs you've worked on. Basically, at this stage, well, in the next kind of few months, launching a place for musicians to just put in stuff about themselves that they might have to write elsewhere. So that could be your biography, you know, anything that you'd want to keep, basically, and just to believe that we are going to find a way for you to never have to type that in again, that you can just point services to it. So if you have, you know, a biography that you want to make sure that Spotify and Apple Music and Tidal and whoever else and Discogs, whoever wants to have your biography, can be feeding in from your place, and that you do it once, and then you go off and be creative. That you don't have to sit there and type in so much rubbish admin, because all these other companies benefit from that by having updated information, but the amount of time it takes you to do that, and if you don't have it updated, then it's, you know, it's not good for you. But imagine if, like right now, I could have in all of the services, I'm online right now here across all the services. So if somebody was like, oh, I really like this Imogen Heap person, who's that? And they look up Spotify and they find my name, instead of finding my name and then going, oh, Imogen Heap, and not even being able to see what other songs I might have produced or anything like that. It's just like a dead end, isn't it? It's just like you can't click on it. But imagine being able to click and discover, or to just give Spotify the power, the opportunity to be able to share in the moment information about you to whatever people might be looking for. So it could be that you might want to be hired for some piano playing or some vocal arranging, for example. So somebody might be like, I really love that song, that PTX, or that song. I want to listen to this song. And then they click and they find, you know, one of you guys as an arranger, and they're like, oh, that's an amazing arrangement of that song, that acapella song. I want to work with that guy. And then in there, maybe Spotify might take a commission of any job that you get through Spotify, but they would get that data from your passport. So you would put once information into your passport. It could link to your calendar, could be connected to managers, anyone could admin it for you. It's basically just your portal, your home, to get you organized and sync up with everything. So you don't have to do anything twice.
Yeah. So wow. Has that been recognized yet by any of these big companies, or is that the next step?
Over the years, so we've been doing this for about 5 years, kind of just slowly, not announcing anything big because we haven't got anything yet. And it's all been self-funded by me, well, actually by my Harry Potter royalties, which have now stopped, annoyingly, because Harry Potter play is no longer for a while. Anyway, so that's a bit of a problem. But up until now, it's been there's Harry Potter royalties, the box office royalties, and a little bit of funding from a Finnish company called Citra. But we're still doing really great with what we have. So it will be up online soon for you to check that out. What was the question? You asked me a question, and
I don't even remember now.
I think that
Oh, what's your driving force to create? And then you were talking about frustration, and then you went into this creative path, which is amazing.
yeah.
I love getting to learn about all the different things you do, because you do so many different things. Yeah.
So what drives me to write? Like I said, it's usually somebody wanting something, because I still have like. Actually, what I really don't like doing is, I don't like having lots of unfinished songs around. I really, really don't like it. So I've stopped writing for a long time. I stopped writing in my diary, but all these hundreds of ideas of songs, because I wouldn't have any way of filing it, and I would only ever write what's on my mind at that day, you know. So the real reason to want to write is either because I haven't written for ages and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. How can I call myself a musician if I'm not writing? And go in and, you know, write 5 songs in a day, whether they're good or not, so it doesn't matter. And then the other extreme is somebody gives me a job. And then I go, okay, I'm going to go and write it for that person. But I'll find myself in it and it'll be me. But all of the songs I've done recently, like, over the last 5 years, I've basically written 1 song a year, or I've released 1 song a year. So when Scout was born, I worked with for a company called Sennheiser. I got paid a lot of money to do a commission, and that song was called Tiny Human. And that then became the first song in the world to distribute payments using a smart contract on the blockchain, which kind of led to this digital identity thing. Anyway, that's all a bit silly right now. But so that was Tiny Human. And the next thing was this song called Magic Me, which was another commission by Dolby for using their Atmos system. So that was really amazing. I had like this crazy speaker system in my barn and was like moving sound around with my gloves and making music. And then the next one was a song for a game, which was a total flop. In fact, I think a lot of people said it was the worst game of the century or something. It was like really bad. It was a shame because the director's really lovely and had amazing intentions. It just didn't manifest. But it was called The Quiet Man, and it was, yeah. Anyway, so my song was right at the end, and I loved that the concept of the game. So, yes, but it's different. It changes throughout my life. You know, I started writing songs because I needed to write songs, because there was nothing else. I needed to vent out who I was, and I wanted to connect with my thoughts and with others. So I did that through music. But then over time, I found other ways to do that, like talking to people, or, you know, doing a project like the Creative Passport or the Mimi Gloves, or another way to kind of release creativity. But as all those things are now, you know, like Carlotta's now running the Creative Passport and Adam's basically sorting out the gloves, I'm now starting to come around to now I'm going to make music again. But now coronavirus, and before that my sister died. So everything's just kind of, you know, this year has been you know, one hiccup after another into trying to get into the studio. But I am still trying, and I did make something nice the other day. So, yeah.
Can you talk about, you've touched on the birth of your daughter, Scout. Do you have any way of identifying maybe how the birth of your child has affected your music making?
Well, there's a lot less of it, that's for sure. I mean, how she's affected me, it's very curious. She really, yeah, she's, of course, I would say that, but she is amazing. And I think of life in a very different way than I did before Scout. And the nicest thing that happened was just the kind of relief that my life wasn't all about me anymore. This kind of like, it's about Scout, me and Scout now. It's about Scout, you know, and that not having that pressure in a way, or just not being so self-centered all the time, or taking things too seriously about myself. has actually also led to me not making so much music too, because it's been like, I don't only identify myself now as a musician, because before Scout I was only a musician, and so I had to keep making music in order to feel alive, but now I'm a mum, and I feel needed and alive every day, so it's a bit like, and every day you have to be creative, you have to be endlessly creative to be with the child, to not get frustrated, or to just connect, because they're super creative and they want to take you down these paths. So, I mean, in funny ways, she's influenced me in all kinds of ways. Like recently, she's always had this thing for liking really heavy music. Really surprisingly, you'd think like, oh, she'd like this kind of like da 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 music, but the minute we one day, she was like, she heard this song off the Batman Lego soundtrack. She hasn't actually seen, no, she has seen the film, sorry. And there's this song that's like the Batman theme song, and it's like, in the darkest night, Batman. And she was like, what is this music? She didn't say it like that, but she was clearly loved it. And so she's like really into heavy music. And then she was like, Mummy, what's the heaviest, rockiest music in the world? And the one thing I could think of was Meshuggah. So I played her some Meshuggah. I played her, what's the song called? Bleed. I played her Bleed. And she just like loves it. She just
Wow.
literally headbanging.
Little metalhead.
I love that. That is so fun.
So all kinds of funny ways. So, I half attempted to write a speed metal track the other day. And something quite interesting came out of it. So,
That's
so
super
great.
cool.
Can you talk a little bit about the process for writing and creating Hide and Seek?
Yes, I can. So I basically remortgaged my flat in London to pay for the making of that album. So I was with a label up until I was about 23, and then I'd had it with label. I was frustrated with labels, so I decided I had to try and get a loan, and no bank would give me a loan because I'm a musician. They don't consider that as a proper job unless you're like Coldplay or something. So I couldn't get a loan for love nor money, and I walked past my flat block. I was in a block and saw another for sale sign. And I was like, I wonder how much our flats are going for. And then I realised that my flat, which I only bought 5 years ago, or got a mortgage for, had gone up in value by £100,000. So I was like, this is how I'm going to bankroll my album. So I took out 100 grand against my flat, and then I gave myself exactly a year. And then I bought a load of equipment, and I made that record. So there was a point quite early on into that record where I got all my gear. I'd got my new computer. It's all running great. I was so happy. I was like, this is the best thing ever. And then I was having a great time recording something for like 2 weeks. I was just getting on with it. And then my computer, my motherboard, literally sparked and went up in a puff of smoke. And I lost everything. And I was just mortified. I was so depressed. And I basically sat staring at this like screen for about an hour, just going, I don't know what to do. And then I thought, okay, I'm not going to leave this studio with a bad vibe. So I'll sort it out another day. And before I leave the studio, if I've had a bad day, I always do something positive. So that could be just like play something on the piano, or I don't know what that might be. But that time there was this piece of equipment called a Digitech workstation that a friend of Steve Winwood's tech lent me. And Steve Winwood didn't know I had it, and he wanted it back. So this guy, I can't remember his name now, the tech guy. Anyway, he was like, I need to have it back. Can you give it back to me tomorrow? And I saw it in the studio, sitting on the radiator that wasn't on. And I was like, okay, I'm going to plug it in. So I plugged it in, figured out how to use it. I recorded into a mini disc recorder because I didn't have my computer. And because of the way that it was set up, because it was set to 4-note polyphony, and so I didn't realise it at the time, I was just kind of playing, and I would sing into the microphone and play the chords, and then, you know how harmonizer works, so it would make my voice do those notes. And as I was playing, I kind of, it was like almost like jamming with yourself. But because I didn't know the harmonies it was going to do, it was probably down to, you know, which note hit the key first, but I was just playing it. And then it just made me want to sing in that way. And I definitely had something on my mind for many years. And at that point, it just came to the forefront. And there's something about childhood, something about family, and yeah, it just kind of channeled out of me. And it was almost like, hasn't happened very often, but it was like I was in such a flow, you know, like I am when I improvise piano, just in that really flowy state, where I was just letting it happen. I wasn't really thinking about it, but it was just coming out. And I was almost at a point in the middle where I was kind of almost going, "That's really good," and at the same time I was thinking, "Well, I must do a little melody over that as I was singing it." And then it kind of got to the end, and then a train went by, a harmonised train, and it was just this magic thing that happened. And I say it like that, and I think in reality, if I listen back to the original demo, it probably sounded nothing like Hide and Seek. But I've told this story so many times that I actually believe it actually ended up like that.
Well, either way, it sounds like it really started with the tech first and you being inspired by that sound, rather than you're at the piano, you come up with a melody, and then you're like, how do I translate this into something cool? It's like it started with that sound, and that inspired the song, which is super cool.
Yeah. The thing that I did keep actually, which is ridiculous, but there was something, because I didn't have the lyrics, but there was something about the way that the breath in between what might have been the sentiment, well, what was the sentiment of the feeling of what was coming out, but I didn't have the lyrics. But there was something in the way the breaths were between playing that wasn't harmonized. That was just really nice, the timing of them and how they sounded. So I actually spliced in pretty much all the breaths. It's really odd, very silly, but I don't know, there was just something about the breaths that I really loved.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And then I took about 2 weeks to write the lyrics.
Yeah. When you listen to Hide and Seek now, if you ever, you know, revisit it, does it make you feel the same things that you did when you originally wrote it, or has your understanding of that song evolved since you wrote it?
Yeah, I mean, if I really lived the moment as I was singing it, I don't do that. If I did that, I'd be a nervous wreck. You know, if you really actually lived through the original ideas of the songs, but you still sing it with feeling. You know, it's not like I'm turning on the feeling or whatever. It's just there's like another level that I don't go to because it would be exhausting, emotionally draining every night. But every now and then, if I really think about, you know, this person, it's very upsetting. But then at the same time, so much incredible, great things, and really great things have come from this song for me in my life, my whole life. You know, this magic song that kind of came that night, began that night, from something so horrible, and has basically opened the doors for so many things. You know, I mean, even just financially, not my own version of it, because you know, the big kind of time when people really listened to it was before YouTube paid you any money and all that kind of stuff. But Jason Derulo covering it, you know, changed my life financially. Just it was #1 in America, it was #1 in Australia, in the UK, all over. And that's when I first saw some proper royalties, and I was like, wow, that's what it's like if you're successful. And it was quite life changing, and I ended up being able to, you know, fund the Gloves project because of that. And so there's been these kind of, you know, and as well, like Ariana, just, you know, championing me. You could never have guessed what it is that brings you, you know, the ability to keep going, really, because these people give you a new life through different fans coming in, and the diversity in the fan base is what I think keeps me going. Because I have this kind of freedom to, I'm not like pigeonholed. And Clams Casino, there's this track come out recently, Clammy Clams, as he on Insta Clams, did a beat with kind of chopping up Just For Now. and then rapper Little B did a version of it, sung over it. But his instrumental is really, really great. And it's kind of all of a sudden there's this, is it cloud rap? I think that's called cloud rap, bass rap, I don't know. This whole kind of genre has kind of I seem to be connected to it through lots of these kind of rappers and producers from that genre's kind of taking stuff of mine. So Hide and Seek has, the biggest thing that Hide and Seek's done, because I didn't think anyone would like it. I thought it was very self-centered, very self-indulgent to write a song that didn't have any beats or anything. And people would come into the studio and be like, yeah, your album's sounding really good, but that song, you should like put some beats on it or something, on Hide and Seek. And I was like, no.
Blasphemy.
Put some beats on that.
I mean, it would have been okay. Lots of people put beats on it. Tiesto's put beats on it. Loads of people put beats. But I wanted it to be a cappella. That's the point. I wanted it to be only vocal, and it was a real challenge to do that. And I was really proud of it. And I just thought, no one's going to like that one, but I like it. And there we go. But the fact that loads of people like that one and not a lot of people like the other stuff, it kind of gave me this freedom to be like, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do, because sometimes people really like that.
Yeah.
And so I never second guessed myself again after that.
That is so cool. I mean, you have done so many things. I love, hearing about all these different projects you've worked on and how you're getting kind of accessing different fan bases through other artists who are really interested in your work. I mean, obviously you've done stuff that has been influenced, that has been a positive influence for many artists. And you also now have the Harry Potter fan base. What, like, a few words on that? Like, do you, how were you approached about that? What did you think about when you were doing that? Were you previously a fan of Harry Potter before that?
Yeah, I mean, I got asked in a field. I was kind of got asked in a field. I was pushing Scouts. She was like 5 months old through this muddy field, feeling a bit like, oh, I don't want to be pushing a baby in this muddy field. I don't know why I wasn't carrying her at the time, because I also carried her quite a lot. Anyway, I got this call from a friend of mine, Stephen Hoggett, and he is a movement physical theatre guy. And I'd worked with him once in the past. Really, really great guy. Always loved his stuff. Anyway, he's a huge fan of my work, and he knows everything. He knows all the weird stuff that nobody's ever heard. He's just this great music nerd. And he said, Imi, I've got this project I'm working on, and I can't tell you what it is, but we are workshopping with your tracks, like stuff from Love the Earth, which is this orchestral kind of work that I did, and this other weird thing called Seashell and the Clergyman, which is like a 30-minute a cappella score for a silent movie. And he was like, these things are sounding great. Is it okay if I carry on? And I was like, sure. What is it? And he's like, I can't tell you. I was like, what is it? And he said, okay, it's about a boy with a scar. And I was like, oh. I didn't know what that was. Because I didn't know about Harry Potter. I didn't know all about that. So then I went back to my friend Alexi, and he's my assistant. He does everything with me, and just said, Stephen's just rung me up about this thing that he's working on, Boy with a Scar. He was like, Harry Potter? And I was like, I don't know, is that Harry Potter? And then we looked it up online, and we didn't look up the Boy with a Scar. We looked up Stephen's name with Harry Potter, and lo and behold, there was this production that they'd been working on for a while that had been, they told people about. So I was like, oh my goodness, that is crazy. But I thought that, maybe he'd throw a couple of my pieces into this theatre thing, and then that would be it. But then about a month later, I got a call saying, from the producers, just saying, we'd really love you to come into the workshops and just have a chat. And I was like, okay. So I turned up, and they were doing this awesome scene, just kind of checking out some organza, like this beautiful material with one of the characters, with a fan and some lighting, just in a bare room. And then they put my music on, something from Love the Earth, this beautiful piano piece. But it wasn't that beautiful, but it just looked and sounded beautiful with this thing that they'd done, this magic thing. Suddenly, it was like it was written for it. And the music came alive in an entirely different way. The original piece was called Beauty, but then it's used for this thing called Enchanted Forest. And the Forbidden Forest, not Enchanted Forest. I can't remember now. Sorry, I've been reading other stuff with Scout. It's just my brain is full. Anyway, so that was it. And then she said, we really, really would love you to do the music for the play. And I was like, what, all of it? And she said, yeah, we would like you to do the music. And I was just, couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it for about a week. That it was real. And very soon after that, I was in the kind of the rehearsal space, workshopping. I just had a little, computer like I'm looking at now, and some sound cards and a little keyboard, my headphones, and I just made the music on the spot. And then I pulled in loads of other tracks that, Stephen already liked. And about maybe 70% of the score originates from something that pre-existed. And then the rest of it's kind of completely like new or just reworked. So it's a really crazy project. And I actually hardly spoke to anyone the whole time because it's such a massive job. It's like 2.5 hours worth of music and I had very little time to do it. So I mixed it, produced it, performed it. Most of it, a lot of it in the theatre, between like 8 and 11 at night when everyone else had gone home, or a lot of people had gone home, or I was left there with the sound effects guy or the lighting guy tweaking stuff, often just being the last one with the security guard trying to just write this immense amount of music on time. But it was really, really great. It was fascinating. It was just super, super exciting to work with this incredible team. I'd never done anything like that before. Didn't know about cues, didn't know about how everything's mixed together. I mean, I really just feel so lucky that I got to see how they work. They're just a genius gang of people. And they were so nice to me because I didn't know what I was doing. But they just really helped me along. So I feel super lucky.
I think it's a true testament to your genius that you went from not knowing what Harry Potter was to then writing all of the music for this amazing play in what feels like 2 weeks.
I knew who Harry Potter was, but I never really, I think that's what's really great about Harry Potter actually, is it introduces lots of people who maybe aren't into reading. And that's the same for theatre. They're bringing a lot of people in who wouldn't normally go to the theatre, and they're like, oh, theatre's pretty cool, maybe I'll come back. Yeah. It's having a really positive effect on lots of people now, kind of wanting to come back to theatre who wouldn't have normally done it. But I absolutely hated reading when I was a child, absolutely hated it. I just did not want to see a book. And I found it really difficult, like words weren't really staying where they should. And I'm not dyslexic, but I feel like, I don't know. My dad thinks I might have been if he hadn't intervened, maybe. I don't know if that's possible. But I find it really hard to read. It's easier now I'm older. Now, but I'm actually losing my sight a little bit, so now it's getting hard again. But I like the stuff that's inside the books. I just don't like the action of reading it.
Yeah,
sure.
That makes sense. You've done so much, so many different projects, musical and tech and all this other stuff. So what's the thing that you're most excited for, or like a goal that you have in the future, I guess? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, how far into the future?
At however far you want.
What I would really love, the thing which really drives me every day is how can I simplify my life so that I don't have to be frustrated by whatever it might be. And the biggest things in my life are the tech that I work with musically. And I really feel like we're moving. I love what Tim Exile's doing with Endless. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it so much. You should all check it out. The combination of that with the Mimu gloves, I really can't wait till the day when the Mimu gloves are gestural interaction with music. That flow of systems and tech, physical tech and software tech kind of talking to each other in a very seamless way, instead of having all these plugins that doesn't work with that and updating all that rubbish. Just hopefully everyone will just get over having to have exclusivity around things, and we'll just like everything will be nice and talk to each other. And then on the other side, I look forward to the same thing happening with the music kind of industry, the business side, is that the songs have everything they need to do business with anything and anyone. They have all the information they need. Everything is complete. Everything is has context. So that if somebody wants to license a song, they want to cover a song, they want to put it in their wedding, they want to whatever they want to do with it. They want to know who their saxophonist, they want to know what the inspiration was about, whatever it is, they want to know what microphone you, whatever it is. I want these songs to like basically have, what I think is going to happen is that the songs will be like the service. So the song will be the center. And then on the outside, you'll have all these kind of layers of services. And they'll all kind of be like connected together. I don't think it'll be like Spotify. It won't be like that. It'll be like experiences through video and music and VR and XR and these songs and your experiences, and your identity will kind of float through, like we do shops, we kind of in and out of shops and just ourselves. So our kind of the virtual us, the digital us, whether it's data, who we are, movements in AI, helping us to be our best selves in the physical world by empowering us as much as possible in the digital world to allow us to be good at what we're good at, by empowering us with useful tech, with useful software. Anyway, I feel like the Creative Passport is a big part of that for me, or at least it's my way of getting into that space, to help myself be data organized, my data self, and that in turn that might emerge into a bigger AI, department, augmented Imogen. That's actually a project I started with. I won't talk about it. It's very early on. Not that I don't want to talk about it, just because I've talked about it. So yeah, basically flow everywhere, flow at home, flow with the family, flow in the music room, flow in creativity, flow in work. Flow.
Wow. Augmented
That sounds
Imogen
great.
sounds really cool. And augmented Imogen is something that we need to talk about when we have you on our show next. You're so cool. This has been an amazing experience for us. I know this has been an amazing experience for all of our participants. I'm going to go listen to Speak for Yourself, for the rest of the week. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. This was amazing.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. Any final thoughts, advice to our listeners?
I don't know. I don't know. It feels like I should say something about coronavirus. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Just that I feel like I don't want to say something super positive because people out there are having super awful times right now.
Yeah.
I'm really worried about what's going to happen when everyone can go back to work, woo, and loads of people, millions of people won't have work. And then what's going to happen to suicide rates, what's going to happen to depression, what's going to happen to all this stuff that's just going to massively snowball. There's awful times ahead for many people, and that's really, really sad. I'm excited for the planet. I'm excited that we have had this opportunity in life to experience what it feels like to slow down and to see the planet breathe. And that feels like this incredible thing that we've had the chance to see a glimpse into that. And just as much as there's a lot of hardship to come for lots of people, but it feels like an incredible opportunity to have shaken so many things up. But just as it is in your own life, where you kind of just get into the rut of life, and then 10 years on, you're like, you change something, you're like, why didn't I do that 10 years ago? Or why did I worry about that thing or whatever it was? And it feels like, for good or for bad, we have that opportunity now individually and, globally. And it's really amazing time. And I can't help but feel excited about that, but also terrible about it for many people. And I just want to do my best, what I can, my bit that I can do. And I think that this identity bit is the future of work around for everyone, not the Creative Passport thing, but just in general, digital identity, the future of work, how we lasso ourselves and organize ourselves to help us, in the future, should we come up with something like this, which we will, of course, we'll just keep coming, that we can better deal with it if we can have better data organization around who we are. So,
yeah.
Well, seriously, thank you again. I think a major part of the reason why Ben and I even started doing this weekly workshop was because we wanted to just give something that could create a little bit of positivity in somebody's week or something to look forward to. So again, your talking with us today has been such a gift. And thank you for giving that and sharing a bit of your time with us and with everyone. And
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks again.
Bye, everyone.
bye,
Bye-bye.
Imogen.
Okay.
There's like a fanfare going in the chat right now. Everyone's saying thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
thank you,
bye, bye.
Let's take like a quick 1 minute, and then we'll be back with our design challenge.
Yes.
BRB.
In case you're confused about the design challenge, it is an assignment that we gave last week for people to arrange the wheels on the bus in any style. And so we picked a bunch of submissions that we're going to look at and have you guys kind of talk through. Oh, Imogen's there.
Okay. Oh, I think we're. Okay.
Okay.
We're
Is
back.
there a video on? Oh, there it is. Oh, this is
It's on.
Imogen's.
Let's go back to this view.
So last week we asked you guys to come up with some arrangements of the popular chart-topping hit "Wheels on the Bus," and we
#1 in 70 countries,
except for the United States of America. Yeah, so we picked I think 11 of them to kind of look.
Yeah,
through.
and we'll see how many we can get through. We only have about 40 minutes left, so we're going to try to kind of rush through them. And then we want to also bring on some of the arrangers to like just give us a quick like 60-second, 30-second summary of like their process and what they're inspired
14
by.
seconds.
14 seconds. So let's dive into it. Which one should we do first?
So the first one, let's just do it in order. Let's start with. Actually,
no. I want to jump around.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Oh, let's do that one.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do Jan Weigang. I don't know how to say the last name, but Jan's. This is a pretty cool version. Let me share the screen.
Is Jan on the chat?
Oh, na na oh oh na na oh na na oh. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through town. The scales in the song, they go round and round, round and round and round again they go. Yeah, they go round and round again, all the way through time.
Love it.
I love that.
Let's
Jacob
see if Jan's
Collier
here.
meets Bobby McFerrin.
Yeah, Jan's here.
Hey, Jan Weigang. Is that how you say your last name?
Unmute.
Ah.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Wow,
Yes.
yes.
I'm
Hi.
looking.
Oh, awesome.
I can't
put on
see
speaker
you.
view in that way.
Oh, there you
Okay,
are.
I can
Hey.
wave yes. Hey.
Love that. That was really cool.
Well, thanks.
That was cool. I would call that genre like Europella. It seems like kind of real groupy, but they're not as jazzy stuff. Yeah, talk about like what inspired you and how you kind of went about doing that version.
Um, well, I was not going to do anything that was not over the top. So I started with something to ground yourself in kind of a key, because you can't just go about and change keys whenever and like do a bunch of key signatures. So I wanted to ground it for just a bit and then go explore it. And I found this run up to just be kind of cool. I think it starts in like B flat, and then it just goes up a half step, and somehow it works to then just go up another half step in minor and figure stuff out from there. So it was basically like let's go on a journey. Let's start here. And
So cool.
It was great. I love all the harmonic changes were very surprising, but they weren't unnatural. They all felt like okay, I feel comfortable going from this chord to this chord. Everything kind of had a nice flow to it. So
great.
That was great.
I felt it on my insides.
Awesome job.
But took a lot of time to just play chords and figure out which one kind of is the one that you're actually like hearing for.
All right, let's try this, like figuring it out. But yeah, awesome job.
So great. Thanks. You.
Thanks.
All right, let's take a look at the next one. We should make an Arranging and Chill album. Where it's like each album is like a different song.
Okay, next one. Let's do Jacobs.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Share screen.
All right. Jacob, Shamoon. Let's find this. Okay, here we go.
Round and round and round and round they go.
Round and round, all over town, the wheels on the bus go round. Round and round, all over town, the wheels on the bus. Step right up, no cussing or swearing. Don't make a fuss, just put the fare in. Oh, it's your first time? Don't be nervous, they call us badass and essential service. Yeah, I stop about 100 times, but at every single one I write original rhymes. Now, hold your breath and listen to the new one. Take a seat while I introduce you to them. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 swish. And that horn on the bus goes and the players on the bus go and all them honeys on the bus go. Round and round, all over town, the wheels on the bus go round. MTA, every day. Round and round, all over town, the wheels on the bus.
Round and round and round and round they go.
I'm obsessed.
So good.
I want this to play in our house always.
I love this.
It
Jacob.
was so good. That was so
I don't
good.
think Jacob's here.
Oh no!
Oh wait, is this Shamoon? There's no Jacob. Hey, Jacob.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
Doing really good. I'm just like buzzing that you played that. That's amazing.
That was
We're obsessed.
awesome. I love this one so much. Yeah, I mean, you basically took the idea of the song, but really made your own song, and it's awesome.
Yeah, you're amazing.
You want to talk a little about the process and
Oh wait, I know
inspiration?
you.
Yeah, hi.
What's up?
Hey.
Yeah. So I think the first thing I came up with was that the like round and round and like that hook, and then I heard that the swish 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 and the horn on the bus as like a call and response, which is one of my favorite gestures in like all the music is like call and response.
And did you say like I'm gonna do an old school rap version and then come up with that stuff, or did you come up with the licks first and then kind of figure out that you wanted to do it this way?
I came up with the first lick first, and then I was like, oh, that swish swish sounds like a call and response. Maybe that's more like an old school rap. And then I was like, can I write a rap? And then I went on like a long bus ride, I went on a long bike ride. and wrote the rap. And then I was like, I need another hook, so I took the wheels on the bus go round. So like that went in the chorus a little bit too.
That's awesome.
There's also a little motif from the
Yeah,
original
I mean,
song,
there's
the
so
soprano.
much in here, and also everything. What I love about this is that everything that you did is so in the style, and nothing feels like it's like a weird attempt at it. It like it all feels super legit, and like it's just great. I love it. I love all the like kind of cheesy sound effects. Like it's perfect. It fits perfectly.
It's so good.
Yeah, awesome job.
Nice work.
Fun. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, sure thing.
They're in business casual.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I love business casual.
Yeah, they're so
You guys
good.
are awesome. Yeah, that's like such a business casual move. I love it. Okay, cool.
I love it. Thank you guys.
Let's do
this one.
Which one?
The next one down, the third one. Daniel Morrison. For
Oh
something
yeah,
completely different.
for sure.
So throwback to last week's session or 2 weeks ago session, we have one by Daniel Morrison.
I'd say this is like, well, I'll just play it. We'll talk about Love it. All right, Daniel.
So yeah, obviously I felt the Eric Whitacre vibes of that.
Definitely Whitacre vibes for sure. It was funny to have the very serious Whitacre, music with these lyrics because it's like you can't take it seriously because it's wheels on the bus.
It's so good though. It's so funny.
Daniel, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Oh, nice. I don't see video.
Not today. Daniel.
You can hear us. So, what was your process for this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So I actually missed the Eric Whitacre talk a week or two ago. But my choir did my choir has been like a Whitacre kick recently, so that's probably where a lot of this came from. But I wasn't planning on doing one of these originally. My friend sent me the prompts a couple days ago, and I, like as a joke, put together like the first 7 or 8 bars of that and sent it to him, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
I love it. No, that's really great. I mean, great submission, and it was a joy to listen to.
Yeah,
you can check out the Whitacre session that we did.
We posted it in the Facebook group under the announcements. I'm gonna have all of our session links in the announcements from now on, just as a general thing for everyone. But yeah, great job.
Thank you, Daniel. All right, next.
Let's do James Rose. There's no score for this. I'm just gonna play it.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's no score, so I'll share this.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the
Yes.
The subdivisions
I
are
love
cool.
it. Oh.
Hit
All right,
hello.
James.
Hey,
Hey,
guys.
hey, how's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, thanks
We're
for
all wearing
playing
our
my
love
song.
shirts today.
I mean, I would wear this
I
shirt.
know. Just bring some light to this sort of ambient sadness with the world at the moment. So, through the shirts.
I only talk to British people.
Had a lot of, yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, I thank you for organizing this whole thing. It's been so great hearing all these other submissions as well, and like just peering into these creative methodologies.
About your process and what your goal was and how you went about it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like disregarded the lyrics and melody because I think it's, of course, something that everyone knows. So I thought I would try and do something a bit more bombastic and abstract. But the core genesis was North African groove music for me. I've become more and more interested in like I guess non-quantized grooves that explore micro rhythms. So it was all built around this kind of da 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 kind of feel, which is I guess a bit more like quintuplets, but it's very sort of feelsy. I didn't like program it. And then this bass, which sort of mimics, I guess, the synthia instrument that they play there, which was actually split between the bass and the baritone. So it's kind of in 8 parts. I couldn't help but throw some jazz harmony in as well, in the style of like Take 6, Real Group, Sam Robson, Accent, because that's just, I live for that stuff. But I guess the final inspiration is, I guess in the performance was like classical Islamic music, especially with the scales. And I don't know if you noticed the quarter tones. There are a couple of those, but I think they're more felt. But they kind of come together, and the genre's called Nawa, which those two things exist together. So yeah, it was a bit of an experiment for me, but I love doing it.
I loved it. That was
So
awesome.
cool. Thank you, James.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Cool.
guys.
I'm sure people are gonna want you to like post more about that. So maybe in the Facebook group you can post like some links to that style of music and like also like your app. You should post about your app too. What's it called? Sync?
It's
Psych?
called Sync CYNC.app, and I use that actually because it's an app, drum app that's based around non-Western like non-metronomic grooves,
Yeah.
so it really helps with that.
Yeah, you should definitely post. People are gonna go crazy for it. So
Yeah.
sweet. Thanks for doing that. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye,
Okay.
James.
Bye.
Bye.
Talk to you tomorrow specifically.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's do this one. I love this. You guys, there's some really creative.
No, I love it. We should make an
things.
album.
We should make an album.
We already have the tracks.
All right, share screen.
I can't wait until the next design challenge.
I know, these are so
we have to like
fun.
really pick a good song. Like Wheels on the Bus.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. The door on the bus goes open and shut, open and shut, open and shut. The door on the bus goes open and shut, all through the town, all through the town. The lock on the bus will keep you in, keep you in, keep you in. The lock on the bus will keep you in, all through the town.
Okay, I love this. The comment.
Yeah.
What kind of buses did y'all take?
Yeah, and Andrew Sonico wins with best comment. Damn, what type of bus did y'all take to school?
I love this kind of Billie Eilish take on Wheels on the Bus by Sophie Pierce. So we're bringing Sophie. Hey, Sophie.
That was super cool.
Oh, cute glasses.
Hi. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm so excited that you guys actually listened to it. So yeah, that was actually my idea first was what if Wheels on the Bus was by Billie Eilish, and that's where my idea started. And I was like, okay, let's take it, put it in minor, kind of go from there. And then I actually reached out to one of my really good friends, Rosie Sheldon. I'm in Indiana, she lives in the UK, so we had a lot of fun like going back and forth with that, and just kind of like passing the news file back and forth. And then she did the vocal percussion and all the mixing and like Logic for the editing and whatnot. And we just kind of decided, you know, we're gonna go with this creepy vibe, like we're not holding back at all, like, you know, just do as much as we can to make it as intense as possible, you know, like we've already committed to it. And then I think we both kind of finished it and looked back and we were like, what did we just make?
Well, you know what, Sophie? I think the reason why we picked this, I think, is because it is so intentional. And I think it's so important. I mean, most of the ones we picked have like a very identifiable vibe or inspiration. And I feel like that is so effective with, you know, when you're trying, like say you're doing a piece for hire or you're doing some kind of assignment or you want to like really get to the fact of the matter as opposed to like have this very
amorphous,
you know,
thing,
nebulous
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
You did a great job really focusing in and nailing the style of it. I love the use of breath and like alternate, you know, not just singing, you know, you use ways.
Yep. Extra vocal.
Like like all that stuff is super cool.
So Billy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Great job.
Yeah.
And thanks for submitting. Okay.
Also, I'm gonna post a Google Drive folder or like a box folder of all of these submissions, including the ones that we're not showing, in the Facebook group so everyone can check it out. There's a lot of great stuff in here. We won't get to everything. Let's do this one. Wheels on Device.
Oh yeah, I love this one. One man jams.
Share.
Hey, excuse me. Does this bus go downtown? And how much does it cost? Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 swish. The wipers on the bus go swish, 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 all through the town. The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, beep. Can you get out the way? I'm trying to merge to the horn on the bus goes beep, beep, beep till it breaks. I know, I forgot the check, but I hope it's going express. Because the longer it's taking, the more it's making me stress. Now, I don't mean to be rude, but I think he's taking his time. Drive a foot on the floor, pick up the pace to you mine. But he says, end of my shift, somebody's taking my place. Second driver's en route, might be you gon' have to wait. I said, enough is enough, boy. I'll drive the bus, boy. I suggest everybody buckle up, boy. We all got places to be, right? Oh, yeah. We trying to get there as soon as possible. Oh yeah. I promise I'ma drive as fast as I can. Oh yeah. Quiet. Sing. The wheels on the bus go round and around, round and round, round and around. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Go round and around. The wheels on the bus. The wheels keep on turning. The wheels on the bus. Oh, they keep on spinning. The wheels on the bus. Around and around. The wheels on the bus. I said the wheels on the bus. Go round and around. I said the wheels on the bus. Go round and around. The wheels. Go round and around. I said the wheels on the bus. Go round and around. Yeah. The wheels on the bus. The wheels on the bus. We all got places to be. The wheels on the bus. And I'm gonna get you there. The wheels on the bus. One more time now. The wheels on the bus go round and round. Take us home.
Yeah.
I am getting some major, like, you know, obviously gospel, like John the Revelator vibes. Oh my God, so good.
That was so good.
Muses, Hercules vibes.
Let's see if it's one man or Jeremy. Yeah, there it is. One man jams.
Wow.
Hey.
Hey.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was so cool.
Yeah,
So
like-
yeah, it kind of went through a whole bunch of different styles, but you really kept the styles distinct. And you're like, okay, now this is the rap section. This is the gospel section. What was your process?
For me, I knew that I kind of wanted to start slow because that's how riding a bus is. Like, you get on the bus, you get settled, and then you're like, why am I not where I'm going yet? So I wanted to start like real chill. I didn't want the harmonies to be too complex at the beginning. So you kind of settle into like a monotony, and then it starts to speed up, and you're like, I need to get to where I'm at. I need to get to where I'm at.
Well,
So.
this bus has clearly gone off the beaten path and is heading destination than just someone's school.
I love it. Everything you thought was great. I think it's also a great example of like how to do all those styles really well, and people can go and like analyze and be like, okay, so this is the like gospel, like the shout section, and
right.
like
The hits,
this is how we do that, and like
yeah.
everything you did was so like perfectly right for everything. So yeah, awesome job.
This should be the new theme song for the Magic School Bus.
Somebody knows somebody. Tell them to call me.
For the next design challenge, we need to have people write us a theme song.
Oh my god! Why didn't we think of that?
Well, I've been thinking. Spoiler alert! I've kind of been working on a theme song for you guys. I'll be honest.
We'll take it. Thank you so much. Wait, what is your actual name, one man?
Jeremy, right?
Jeremy.
Jeremy Thorne.
Thorne.
Thorne. Yeah.
Thorne. Jeremy Thorne. We
Awesome.
like you. You're great.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. Let's listen to. I want to listen to that one. Jason's.
Yeah.
I love that vibe.
Here's another one that doesn't have a score.
Ben and Sham's Jungle.
The wheels on the bus, they go round. The wheels on the bus, they go round. The wheels on the bus go round and round. They go round and round. They go round and round. Sucking up all my love and all my trust. They go round. That's why I'm figuring it out when I'm sitting there alone on this bus. On the bus, the wheels on the bus go round, round, we go round. The wheels on the bus, they go round. All throughout the town. All throughout the town. The wheels go round and round. I see them going round and round. I think I'm gonna stay for now. Them going round and round we go. Round and round.
I love this like Boys to Men vibe. We just need like a little Mariah verse.
Oh, that was awesome.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Jason Nesmith.
You there, Jason? Oh wait, there we go.
Jason, speak to
Unmute.
us.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Jason.
That was killer.
Thank you so much for playing that. Appreciate it.
Jason, thank you for arranging that. It was brilliant. It was so good. I love Boys to Men.
Oh, yes. I was trying to go for, first of all, sorry for the mix. I'm not the best audio engineer, so I know it's a little
all of my
rough.
demos clip as well. It's fine.
Oh, word. But yeah, I wanted to start out with a gospel feel, but then I started like all these R&B influences started coming in my head, and then I just was like, I ended up with Boys to Men sort of vibe. And yeah, I think just I wanted to make it feel like an emotional ballad, and I figured Wheels on the Bus was a fun way to flip it upside on its head and make it feel like you're on a bus thinking about like whatever tumultuous relationship you're in.
I love it.
I
Did
love
you?
Hope you
so
liked it.
You arranged it by recording it, right? So you like laid down a track and started just layering and figuring it out.
Nice.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
So cool. Loved listening to that. Thank you. for
Yeah.
your
So
submission.
people asking for the score, there is no score. If someone wants to transcribe it, they are welcome.
Call at Dan. At Dan
Cool.
Satter.
That was awesome. Yeah, we're gonna post all these. Great job.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Let's do.
Someone says we
Zach's.
should make an Instagram.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, I'll make it. Oh, I think I already made it.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
I'm ready.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Whoa,
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
It's
really
This
good.
is Zach Toom.
Zach Toom. Zach Tomb Raider.
Zach.
We need a laugh track.
What's up, guys?
I can't like pull out all the jokes.
we need
and, like
the
not
sound-
have like a
we need
sound.
sound
I need a
effects.
sound effect button for a laugh
Yeah.
track. I need like a gasp. God, we need things.
We'll have an Amazon wish list.
We wish list. It's in the shopping bag.
Great job. That was awesome.
Thank you.
That felt like the kind of rockapella, like contemporary acapella version.
Yeah.
Like
The Rob Dietz version.
Yeah. What were your inspirations for that?
Yeah, actually, I didn't really start with an inspiration, but as I was going, I started realizing how rockapella it felt. And then once I threw David Fowler, who's incredible, on the vocal percussion, it really it launched it.
Totally.
David Fowler's so good at vocal percussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you were playing with time too, and
like
Mhm.
a little measure of 3 that you put in there.
Yeah, rip out that beat just to kind of give you that stutter.
I love
and the little group riff moment, and then the ending. Yeah, that was great. It had drama. It had excitement.
It had a 90s flair.
It had a 90s flair. It had everything.
It had the hits. Very important.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. You guys are so talented.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome job. All right, next one. Oh, we're gonna finish. That's great.
Oh my God.
We're gonna show 3 more today. Let's do David's.
This is from David Doss, a fellow Cherry Hill resident, but from Cherry Hill. I learned.
2, 3. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
And y'all got rickrolled. Okay, David.
Oh, I don't think David's here actually.
David's no longer here. Maybe it's Dave.
No, I think he may have another name. David, if you're here, make sure your name is your name, and then we'll check back in a bit.
2-man jams.
But yeah, that one was like obviously a little mashup with "Never Gonna Give You Up," and it kind of reharmonized it and just like kind of put it in a different groove and do like a kind of like a bossa-y like ish feel.
Totes.
And just like a cool way to like recontextualize the melody with different harmony and rhythm.
And the rickroll.
Always a crowd pleaser.
Isn't that you're busy, Tom?
Yeah.
I hate that.
It's my answering machine. Okay.
Connor Martin, next up.
wheels go round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. The wipers on the bus go swish and swish, swish and swish, swish. The wipers on the bus go swish and swish, all through the town. The horn on the bus goes beep, beep, beep. The doors on the bus go open and shut. The driver on the bus says, move on back, move on back. The babies on the bus go wow, 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 wow. The babies on the bus go wow, 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 through the town. The mothers on the bus go shush, 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 shush. The mothers on the bus go shush, 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 all through the town.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town.
Whoa, the wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round. They go round and round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Thank you, Amanda Taylor.
Yeah.
Wow, I loved that. Wait, who was that by?
That was Connor Martin.
Connor Martin. Connor Martin.
Hey, Connor.
How's it going?
That was
Hey,
awesome.
Connor.
Thanks for playing.
Yeah,
Thanks
of
for
course.
submitting. It was really good.
Yeah, that was like, it had a lot of different stuff in it. I'm trying to like just put a genre to it, but it's like
It was kind of like it was kind of like going through a
it
bunch of different
went through.
things.
It was like kind of like poppy, pop rock,
Yeah.
R&B-ish vibes at times.
Definitely had some R&B vibes. Were you singing the solo?
No, my girlfriend Courtney sang the solo and the soprano, and then I sang everything else. So
Got it.
I can't riff like that.
Nice.
Um,
I love
but yeah,
how you kind of put in. You had a bass solo in there.
Your little like flat seven reharm thing was really
Tempo
good. whatever it was.
changes.
Yeah, well, I definitely started off, for some reason, I recently listened to a lot of pitch slaps, so I had I wanted to have a good groove with bass and VP.
And also,
yeah, and then the middle section, like, when I read through the whole text, I imagine like the babies like crying and pissing off the mothers, and then them being like, shut up. So that's why I had that change of pace in the middle. And then everything else was just messing around and seeing. This was one of the fewer times I arranged and like sung through Pro Tools at the same time, so it was pretty fun.
Well, so you arranged it first in Pro Tools and then wrote it out?
No, it was kind of like both. I was arranging in Finale while singing through the parts and changing things, and I probably had like 6 different scores by the time I sent you the final one.
Nice. Yeah, I actually do stuff like that too. When I'm getting stuck and I know that I'm not going to be able to really do what I need to do in Finale, I'll start to record it while I'm also kind of going back and forth and editing and stuff. So yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, and I had to throw the bass solo in because I'm the bass. So
Hell yeah,
love it.
Well,
Great
you
job.
killed it, Connor. Thanks for
Thank you.
This was really
Thanks
good.
so much.
Yeah.
Wow. And last but not least,
last one, Dan Satter. Oh, actually, we have one more. Well, maybe we can do the last one too. There's one other one we could show.
Love it. Make sure you share the screen.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round, all through the town. Yeah.
Sing. I love it. Amazing. Let's bring Dan on here.
There he is.
Hey.
What's up?
This is so awesome. I'm so glad you guys picked this. So like I've been mainly in like a rut of just arranging like stuff for myself, and like my recent arrangements have just been like 13 parts, multi-track, like Peter Holland, Sam Robson stuff. So I wanted to like confine myself to just like a simpler style, so SSA, TBB, and solo. And I've been like, I wanted to pull mainly inspiration from like Accent, like their close harmony style stuff. So I really just tried to like see what I could do with rhythm and stuff like this, and like just like the little like the breaks at the end, or like I kind of imagine that the wheels on the bus like at in the middle of that was kind of like going over potholes, just because like it's all in this swung feel, and then just this abrupt like rhythm change. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. That was great. Love the little vocal jazz take on it.
Thank you.
All right.
Are we doing one more?
Yeah, I'll do one more. We'll do this one.
Cute.
And then we'll check to see if David's here too.
The wheels on the bus go round and round and round and round, round, round and round, round and round and round, round. The wheels on the bus go round and round and round and round.
Thing. Oh my god, the buzz!
I love it.
Oh, we should get like a little
intro
cartoon
animation for us.
Like a little cartoon animation intro.
We don't make content though. We do these.
This is content, babe.
It's live content. It's messy. Jonah is not here. David is also not here.
Oh god.
But I love the little kind of Beach Boys-y take on it.
Also, the hair was very beachy.
The hair, we love the hair.
Very beachy. Beach Boys.
Cool. Well, that's our show for today.
And guys, thank you so much for submitting these. We're gonna do these. I think we're thinking about doing these every other week. So we're gonna take a week, figure out what the next song is gonna be. Maybe it's gonna be a jingle. Maybe that could be a side project. I think the jingle can be a side project, and you can just like submit those.
Yeah, I think that'll be
as
something.
needed.
And we're gonna post all of the ones that we showed today, including the ones we didn't show today, in a big folder for everyone to check out. There's some great ones in there. And
we are going to be announcing our next guest
pretty soon.
Tomorrow or the next day. Very excited. We have a lot of exciting guests. We originally thought we were just going to do this Arranging and Chill for the month of April. However,
it will continue,
until
further notice. Any other announcements?
Be good, be intentional, be nice, make music, like
be intentional and be nice.
Be grateful. And
enjoy your Saturday.
Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Love you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.